Hey, this is Matt, and today we have a subscriber request. Well, kind of. On my phone, I use this app called Notion, not sponsored, by the way. And on it, I have a list for a bunch of different things, whether it's photos or TikTok ideas or YouTube tutorials. A lot of them are ones that I just want to do or I have an idea. One of them that's been on the radar for a while is trying to edit your photos. Like you guys sending me your photos and just me trying to edit in my own style. I've seen other people on YouTube do that and I thought it would be pretty cool to try it out, but I kind of just left it to the side and never did anything until about a month ago now. Sorry for the delay. I got a message from a viewer asking if they could see how I edit their pictures. So it was just like, dang, this is awesome. That's what this video is gonna be about. I got 2 pictures from them. I'm just gonna edit them. Are they perfect pictures? Maybe, maybe not, but it's what they sent me. Let's see what I can do and check out the images. Dragging this photo into Photoshop. One of the only rules that I asked when they were going to send me the photos is that it's in RAW format. So I still haven't made a video over the importance and power of RAW. A quick tip, if you can, shoot in RAW. There's just so much more flexibility when you're editing. Real quick over here, the first thing I'm going to do is apply a preset that I kind of just use. It's just I call it basic raw edits, and so it's not going to change much from the original image, but either way I'm still going to go down all the settings, one by one, just to show you what I do. So first thing you do is black and white. I'm just kidding, messed that up actually. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to do the exposure just to brighten it up to see what we're working with. Okay, so we have the image, and so first thing I noticed with the image too is that there's not, it's not an action scene, right? It's just a portrait really. So, I guess it could be some kind of action, right? But no, they're both looking at the camera and they're just posing. It's pretty good posing. I like the kneel pose. Sometimes that can be kind of tricky. The Spartan in the back is pretty cool with the double guns, and I do like how he's holding the rifle. I'm not going to do a full critique of the photo, but one thing I did notice is the photo is pretty in sharp. I'm not sure of the exact settings they used, but for the most part, it's pretty much how I would have taken it as far as how I would want it to look. I would want this guy's helmet to be in focus. Maybe it could have been a little more in focus. It's definitely focused more on this guy. So the video of focus stacking that I did, that could come into play, or just bump the, oh look over here, you can see it's f7.1. So maybe f8, maybe f10 even, I could see bringing him more in focus, but overall pretty solid portrait. I feel I have a vision of how I want it to come out. So that's where we're going to kind of go down. So just checking out the white balance, even on my shots, I have my light set up to a certain temperature and then I put them in here and it looks good, as shot white balance. But this is a huge thing for the RAW, is that it gives you all these options. If you didn't have this, it would only be auto, custom, and as shot. And you can still tweak it. You're not gonna have it as flexible as RAW. So it's not just because of the options, it's you're actually able to change things more when shooting RAW versus just shooting JPEG. So real quick, I'm just gonna kind of go, I usually only go down, as shot, how it comes. I do auto just to see a look, and then daylight is set to 55, which is usually a good number. I kind of like the look of auto more, but what we're going to do is maybe bump it up, make it a little warmer. 9,000. I feel I don't normally go that high, but it's also how the picture was shot. I'm not sure if, it was this is the as shot. So there definitely was more blue. So maybe they were using auto when they shot it. And so the camera adjusted to the blue light to kind of make it more white. I don't know. Either way, I kind of like the 9,000. The tint, I kind of like it where it was at. 19, 15. So just right away, like without, that was nothing. Like that was a shot out of camera, and then boom. I mean, that's just because of the exposure really, but okay, going down to the exposure. I don't like to bump it up too much really, but you know, just for now, maybe we'll change it later, but for now, leave it at 2. Contrast. For this first, like, because this is usually like a base edit, and then when I get into Photoshop, I kind of do some more tweaking. I don't know if that's the best way to do it. It's just like my flow. So with this, I usually like to have this image not perfect coming out. And so with that, you know, like higher contrast or something might look cooler, but I kind of want to give more room to do that when I actually open it in Photoshop. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I like to kind of lower the contrast a little bit for this first step and then go in there and tweak it more. For highlights, a lot of times, and I feel like this is a way of getting rid of the plastic look kind of, and it's not for every shot, but I have this as a standard just to kind of like lower the brightness, because here, like the light is pretty strong bouncing off of them, and it doesn't look bad. Like it's their armor, right? So it doesn't look, you know, like it's not like it's skin that looks plastic or anything. Like it looks okay, but I'm gonna start off with just kind of lowering the highlights, and then the same thing with the shadows. Just to open it up even more is increasing the shadows all the way. For the white and black here, yeah, just kind of tweak it to what looks good. For these, I normally don't like to mess with them. I think that, like for one of the photos where I made the preset, I kind of had it saved, but I feel like recently I've been changing these a lot. I like kind of lowering the texture for this because I am going to add some sharpness later on, but for this, like lowering the texture a little bit, maybe give it like a little clarity. You know, that's not going to do too much, but I feel like that's what I normally do, and I like the way it looks. Dehaze, I do love dehaze, which like we might use that later, but for this first raw edit, nah. Vibrance, you know, I'll just do 5 and 5. So that's where we're at right now. So I do love the curve. It's probably my favorite like adjustment. Like, so it has 4 of these things. So this is like the basic curve, which I kind of lowered the shadows a little bit. Like it's not changing too much. The main one is this first one, but this one's called the parametric curve. And so I love going down here and really like boosting and lowering these. And so here I'm trying to create some of that contrast early on, but like not too much. And this, I feel like these are better edits because you're like, well, why did you do the highlights and shadows? I just feel like the curves is a better edit than doing these. So I'd rather get the curves down first and then come back here. And then it's like, oh, let me give like a boost to the highlights or the shadows or the whites and the blacks. So that's kind of like, so for these, I kind of have it as a standard. And then for the curves is where I really like to make a better image. So kind of messing with these. And so I'm not some super art major nitpicky photographer guy. Like I'm just trying to do what looks cool, right? And so for a lot of times, like I've mentioned in previous videos, like once you get like your settings and your lighting down, a lot of this stuff, it's going to be kind of similar because the setups are kind of similar. You know, you're using the same lights, you're using you're used to shooting toys. So like you're kind of using the same settings. And so, I mean, I've done, I don't know, like 1,000 toy photos. And so this is me, you know, I've developed my process over time. And so this is me, you know, doing that process. So I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. Okay. Don't take it as that, but I'm just showing, like the whole point was this person wanted to see how I do it. So this is how I do it. Is it textbook? Maybe, maybe not. Just don't take it too seriously. Okay. So, and for some of the stuff I do know, like I do explain it And if there's something you don't understand, feel free to like comment that, and I'll definitely try to go in depth. These are a lot of things that I found helpful, that I've learned from other people, that I've learned just by messing around. It's all about experimentations. Okay, so then going down to detail, sharpen, I kind of just leave it at that because like just to kind of give that base sharpen. I don't want to change it too much. I don't normally do noise reduction here, not until later. Color mixer, I don't mess with the colors in this step. Not yet. Optics, I do like to have this like pretty standard. It kind of just like fix some of that lens distortion or lighting with each specific lens. If you're using a manual lens, it might not read it, but you know, if it's connected to the camera electronically, then you know, let it do its thing. Next one, geometry. Sometimes I'll mess with this. I like to do auto. It might straighten it. It might make it look wonky and crazy, but sometimes it just gives a little tweak. And for this one, I clicked it and I kind of like it. Calibration, like this isn't changing too much for this basic edit. Like these are the settings that I have set for it. Changing the hue a little bit. Like I said, I don't always mess with these for this beginning phase. But these will change a lot. Like they will change a lot of your image. You move these very carefully. So that's it for all the settings. So overall, you know, we went from that to this, and let's open it. So now we're officially in Photoshop. Smoke brushes. Just kidding. I make a new layer. And one thing I do want to do, since like there's not a lot going on, like I'm not worried about lightsaber length or anything like that, I am just going to get this Instagram ready. My favorite Instagram ratios are either the 4:5, like vertical, or this 5:4 horizontal. So it's not a square. A square is going to be a little smaller on the sides, but like I just like these. You know, is this the ultimate? You have to do it this way? No, I like these two. Sometimes you'll see me do this one, and I like this one because it's, you know, cinematic looking, and it really just depends on the shot. I think the last one I did with this, there was another one, but I did the Vader one where it was just like I just wanted it wider, right? I could have done it 4:5 horizontal, but I wanted it wider and just captured more of that, you know, scene recreation. So I had 16:9 is my third most popular. I don't really do square, and I don't really mess with any of the others. So this actually is kind of cool. I was thinking of doing it horizontal because that's how the picture is, but I kind of like vertical. So in this case, like I don't have to crop it right now, but I'm just going to do it like this because I can still crop it the other way later. Whereas if I did it like this, it might mess it up. So I'm just going to keep it like this for now. And if I want to do vertical, I will later. I'm not going to add any effects. I'm just going to kind of jump into some basic editing. Once again, I'm busting out the curves adjustment layer. And so I usually I start with the basic S curve. So I increase this like highlight region, and I decrease a little bit on the shadows region. And then I increase this lower number, which kind of gives it like a matte paint feel. And for certain shots, I might like boost it up more. Like that's kind of cool actually. So I don't, and for these, I start off like this, but I don't have exact numbers that I do all the time. I just kind of set it, and then I kind of go up and down and like see what looks good or like what I'm feeling. And for these, like it's nothing permanent. Like I can go do a bunch of other stuff and then come back to this and boom, I just try to do it again. Or if I want, like I just turn it off or delete it. Maybe like at a midpoint and kind of mess with that contrast. If I increase this up here. So and then kind of like to mess around with this. Let's see if I decrease this in the blue channel. If you decrease the highlight, it's going to make all the like white brightest parts of your image more yellow. And so just like we raised the warmth, or we warmed it up in the raw edit, I think I'm gonna keep that vibe a little bit. And so this is kind of helping eliminate like that white light. So it's not just like, as far as there's nothing wrong with the white light, but as far as like the scene goes, you know, maybe I don't want it straight up white, just like a little bit. If I increase, see, like we don't want to change it there. I feel like there's already enough blue, so I'm just going to leave it there. And then another favorite of mine is like adding like a cyan, because when you lower this, it's adding that cyan to the highlights, but then bumping the red back up in the middle. So remember, this is all personal preference. Like you might be like, that looks dumb. I like all the blue. That's that. And then one thing that, oops, I didn't mean to do that one. Another option or another adjustment layer that I like to add is this color lookup. And so I've talked about these before, where you can load a LUT, which is a lookup table, which is kind of like a preset. It's more like video, like for video stuff oriented, but you can drop them in Photoshop as well. And it's going to change like all the colors. Like it's going to change, like you can make it to where it's like all the red is blue or whatever. And so that's just like the preset, but it goes for everything, like for all kinds of lighting and everything. Like, so when you see the red lighting at this level, it's now going to be this, like it's a ton of information all in these LUTs. Photoshop has some like built-in ones. So I'm not going to use some that I might have from like video LUTs that I've purchased before, but this is just going to be like, these ones are on Photoshop, right? And one favorite one that I like to do is called Film Stock. And so like, I'm not even sure exactly what it does. I guess it just boosts like the contrast a ton, like the brightness, like increasing the brightness of the highlights and then decreasing the shadows, or the darkness of the shadows. So I like to add it and then just see what it kind of gives. And then with the opacity, I'd lower it a little bit. Like sometimes a lot. Like sometimes I'll just have it for like 5 or 10%. Like, cause it's adding like just enough of like, you know, extra sauce that I like. So for right now, like that might even be too much for what I think. Let's do 20. I don't even know if I like this one right here, because I guess like the image, like the bright parts are already bright enough. So I guess just 10. All right. Let's see. I guess I'll just keep it there for now. So another thing that I like to do, I'm going to go under the layer and make a new layer. I'm not really good at naming my layers, but we'll do it for this one. So I have been in the process of making some smoke brushes. I think I might officially announce them like next week or something, because I've used some before that I've got from other people, but I just thought it would be cool to make my own. And so you can see like here I have white. It's just kind of doing its thing right there. I think I like that one. I'm not sure why I'm making circles, but... And so I don't know if they sprayed some fog or atmosphere aerosol here, but there's already that vibe that they have it. So we're going to kind of add to that. I think I like that one, but let's bump it up a lot. Make it big. Yeah, see? Looks pretty cool, right? What do you think? A lot of times too, I'm not gonna add, I just have black and white over here. I'm not just gonna add white smoke randomly. I like to grab a color that's already in the scene. So here, you can see there's like a white light over here. Usually lighter colors work better. I kind of like this like blue-gray. Let's see how that looks. So this is kind of a cool comparison to, like, let's look at it over here. And now that I see this light, I'm not sure if I like the color. Because normally also I might, like, I could select this one and like I'd be painting the exact same color. Right? But undo that. I don't know if I like this color light anymore. So I think before I continue, what I'm gonna do is let's do color balance, or not color balance. Let's do, another adjustment layer, hue saturation, and let's check out the cyans. Okay, so I don't want to change it from there. So we can see that on our blue guy, like that's also changing him. Sorry, I forgot their names. So I kind of like that. So let's increase the lightness, but then decrease the saturation. I don't think I want to change the color too much from that. Okay, now let's check out blues. All right, now it's changing our smoke, but I don't want to change our smoke. And so remember, when you make these adjustment layers over here, like you can click on them and just completely change like whatever you've done. So it's not like you permanently made it that adjustment or whatever. I feel like I like that better. Like maybe the person that made it really, really, really wants that blue light, but hey, I'm editing this photo. I really like this smoke. That's clean right there. Okay, so I'm not gonna add, I still have it as that same blue. So let's get some of this gray again. Gonna kind of add it a little bit. Just to kind of blend it. And so up here, it's kind of like a different color light. So I might add that. And what I really like about these haze and smoke brushes is that it softens the texture a lot, which can help out, or also makes it, if it's a lighter color, like it can also like brighten certain parts. So there's a lot of like different effects you can do, or a lot of like different tricks you can do with the brushes. But yeah, I really like experimenting with them and like just trying different things. And I mean, you're not painting a picture, so like if it doesn't look good, you just undo it. I kind of like how that looks. Let me zoom out. What do you think? Super far zoom? So that's without any brushes, with brushes. And so I don't normally have it at, for that brush, like I use it at 100% flow. For other brushes that might be too strong, and I'll just lower it to 50. It's a good like starting point. But for the opacity, I really like the way it looks. Like I think that looks awesome. You know, I might make it, let's say 85. I'm pretty much set with that. Like another idea is like maybe adding light rays from over here, but I don't want to do that for this. I like how it just looks clean. So now we're gonna do like kind of like my final edit touch up. And what I do is I make a new layer. I do Option Command Shift E. And so that's going to combine all the visible layers and make it one layer and like merge them. But what I like about this versus just like merging or grouping or whatever is that I can still, like a lot of times I've gone back and I can just redo something. So like if I notice something that shouldn't be there or whatever. And then before I do continue, like one thing that I noticed here, I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this remove tool, which I think this will work. And it's not a big deal, but I'm just going to see if it looks better or not. So now that I have this layer, like I don't have to worry about other effects or anything. I don't know if it makes that much of a difference. Yeah, I don't know. What I'm thinking is that it just kind of completes the floor better rather than like it's just the wall with like a small gap on it or something. Like sometimes I've done that before for some of my dios where it's not perfect and, just kind of filling in the gap with that. So anyway, now that I have that, I'll make a copy of this. I'll go to other, and you don't have to do this order. This is just my process. Go to filter, other, high pass. I kind of use different pixels, but I've been using 4, so I kind of like that. And then make it soft light. So that's just going to add to our sharpen a little bit in like a non-destructive way. Get all those lines tight. And then go to the first copy or the first layer merge that you did and go to filter and then go to camera raw filter. So we're kind of going back to the same thing that we had before. So here I have some presets, but I'm just gonna, here I like to kind of make some general tune-ups because this is kind of like Lightroom 2. So it's not, I just like the way it's set up. All this can be done with using other tools, but I just like it. I just like doing it here. It's like we could further decrease like the highlights there. Maybe a little bit. Kind of like the shadows. Okay, so here, I still want to decrease the texture there, but I'm going to bump the clarity up a little bit. Dehaze. Saturation. Saturation does all the colors. Vibrance does like the main colors that are in the image. Something like that. So this is without. Okay, I do think I want to bring some darkness. So opening the curves again. So like I want some darkness, but I want to see what's in the darkness. I think I like that better. I don't really, maybe some noise reduction just to get any little speck sometimes. I don't want to change any colors. I like the way they look. Sometimes I'll mess around with these, but for this image, no, I'm not going to do the optics. I'm not going to change that. Here, for effects, I do like to add some grain. I usually almost always do 20 and 15 and just keep that as that. This is personal taste, but I kind of like a little vignette refocus, especially on a portrait, refocus on that. And then the last thing, no, it's calibration. No, that's it. So here, let's take a look. So we got, it's not like that much of a difference, but like to me, it's like a fine tune and I like it. So one thing that I do want to check is, how does it look like a portrait? Dang. I like that a lot. Kind of getting this guy on the line here. I'm not super familiar with it, but like you normally don't want to crop like right at the knees or the hips or like elbows. You kind of want to do it in between, like on the forearm or the shin or the thigh, just because like it doesn't look like it's cutting off the limb. Kind of like a mental thing. Dang. For this, I really like it. So you can kind of say, well, like, well, why did you do the smoke brushes? And you can't even see what you did with the, I mean, it's still kind of there. It's still kind of on the edges, like this orange and stuff. Like I still like to, I'd rather have, you know, do the whole big image. It's not like I'm messing around too much. And then here we can shrink it up and just focus on what's important. Like, I think I really like that. What about you? Like, do you think you like the wider one like this? I mean, that looks good too. I'll probably save them both and I'll send it to the creator and, you know, let them know what they, or see what they think. But that's it for this video. I will do a speed edit of the other photo and you can check that one out as well. But let me know what you think about this. If you have any questions over any of the editing process or tools that I used, or if you have any requests of what you want to see more of, let me know in the comments, and subscribe if you haven't already, and then hit the bell if you want to be notified for when I do post. I'm trying to be more consistent. I'm trying to post more. So I appreciate you. And now go create and inspire. Peace.